This is Business Morning on Channels Television. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago. Well, while the world tries to deal with the coronavirus pandemic, one sector that is also taking a hit from it is the insurance sector. Here in Nigeria, the National Insurance Commission has given regulatory forbearance to insurance companies as part of business continuity measures to ensure availability of insurance services and protection of policyholders during the COVID-19 movement restriction. Now, in a circular to the regulated entities, the Commission said where approval in principle for the preceding insurance period had been granted, or renewals or extensions of the foreign reinsurance proportions that became due during the COVID-19 movement restriction were permitted for renewal or on existing basis. All right, joining me now to look at this development and other issues as it concerns the insurance sector is the President, Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, and of course, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Consolidated Hallmark Insurance, Mr. Eddie Efekoham. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Efekoham.
Thank you for the invitation.
So, how are operators welcoming this forbearance for operators?
Yeah, it came very timely and proactively on the part of the Commission. It's something that we think is necessary to do in order to protect our numerous clients. As you would expect, those who are largely affected are major investors in our economy, particularly the oil sector and the aviation industry. These are sectors where you find that investments are so huge and therefore need to be reinsured outside this country. But before that can be done, the regulation says you must obtain the regulator's approval. And knowing that there is a lockdown right now, it's only proper that the regulator proactively came up that where approvals have been granted before the lockdown, operators are permitted to reinsure still under extensions and renewals, and after the lockdown, file appropriately.
Now, but what about the ones that probably would have come up during this lockdown?
Also, the forbearance equally took account of that. It says that where you have new businesses that require such approval, operators should satisfy the in-country capacity and thereafter reinsure on a use and file basis. So in effect, you would have used a facility, ensure that you satisfy the local capacity, thereafter reinsure the balance, and after the lockdown, report appropriately to the regulator.
Now, what will this be? What will be the implications of this for operators' financials, and how would they be able to mitigate perhaps some of the effects?
Yes, I'm sure you are talking of the financials arising from the coronavirus. I would say yes, as it were, the insurance industry will be affected, but very mildly, as I think for now. Affected because there's not been any pandemic insurance per se in Nigeria, but you would have some of it outside of this country. It hasn't been so popular, and most of our policies hasn't really been extended to disease outbreaks as such, except for general life insurance operation, where you most likely will have cases of covers being granted, and there are no specific exclusions. So to that extent, those claims will be made for such people. But I do reckon that since essential services are being rendered at this moment, employees that are engaged in such essential services, who in the course of duty are impacted or affected by this virus, will likely claim under the Employees Compensation Act, currently operated by the NSITF.
Well, the federal government, just recently we had the finance minister announce that the government is actually considering compulsory life insurance for health workers who are at the forefront of this fight. What's your take on that, and how would you people be able to deal with that?
Yes, certainly we will be able to deal with it. As you can see, you have, as this morning, reported 276 cases, but very few of these cases have actually died. And the few that have died, not many are, we haven't been told yet if any health worker has actually been involved. So what that means, insurance is all about law of large number. We are going to protect all of them, and very few will suffer injuries or damages or make claims. So what that means is that the industry is quite ready. We have insured government workers before. We are insuring all federal government employees under the head of service scheme, group life, as expected. So the health workers today are still part of all of this. So it's nothing strange at the moment.
Yeah, you did mention that, okay, here in Nigeria, the insurance sector is not used to like disease insurance, aside from outside the world. Now we are having this come now, COVID-19, and nobody knows how long this would last. Are you people putting anything in place to perhaps have this kind of package where you have disease insurance for diseases such as this?
Yes, insurance is international in nature. You would expect, like I said already, the forbearance that were given by the regulator necessarily did not affect just Nigerian operators alone. It has to do with risks that are seeded into the international market. So what will happen in the days ahead and months and years ahead is that you will find that the request and demand for insurance to cover pandemics, epidemics, and all of that, infectious diseases outbreak, will be in high demand. And to that extent, the insurance industry will have to come up with a response, appropriate response to that. And once there's that, I think the insuring public will be made to know what has happened.
Now, talking about health insurance, what role are the health management organizations playing, you know, in all of this?
Yeah, I won't be able to speak specifically about health management organization because that is outside the regular insurance that we offer in Nigeria. The HMO business is controlled by the Nigerian National Health Insurance Scheme, as opposed to the National Insurance Commission. So I won't be able to speak about that. But like I said, I just believe that the industry, the Nigerian insurance industry, is appropriately poised to respond. You would find out that there's been a lot of talk about business interruption losses flowing from coronavirus. For us, it's not going to come out of this outbreak. It could only come because our interruption policies are premised on the fact that specified risks have actually taken place. If there's been fire to your premises, if there's been any form of explosion damage, and as a result of that, your business is interrupted, losses flowing from that will be covered. But the policies we have issued so far do not cover business losses arising from infectious disease outbreak, which is what we have. But like I said, that is not to say in world over, international markets, you do not have such insurances. There are few of them, very, very few, and I'm sure you would have heard of some. The Tokyo, for instance, Olympic is said to have been insured. And they paid, it's reported that they paid as much as $2 million for that. So ordinarily, at the end of the day, with event cancellations like that, you're likely going to find some compensation flowing from the insurance industry. There's been also been mentioned that Wimbledon is insured in the last 70 years or thereabout against pandemics. So if that is the case, it's equally reported that as much as $140 million will be claimed under such insurances. So you can see pockets of some insurances to cater for outbreaks like that. But is it a popular insurance taken up by many? No. But today, with this current outbreak, you find that demand has gone up.
And what are you expecting to see after COVID-19, perhaps in terms of claims now?
Yes, we obviously, even in Nigeria, we have claims. You are out here, you live in Lagos, and the other day we're told that there were shops along Allen Avenue were burgled because they all left unattended to. So you find small enterprises who have
Absolutely, because
bought
it's all
insurance
as a result of this lockdown
yes.
thing, yeah.
And you find fire incidents happening without people being there to immediately put a stop to it at the beginning. So what that means is that all of such insured losses will be paid by this industry.
All right. Now, let's talk about the recapitalization exercise. Now, with this COVID-19, I mean, where does that leave the plan?
Yeah, the ongoing recapitalization is an exercise that has actually been introduced by the regulator. And this was introduced last year. And none of us, including the regulator, would have thought that we will have an outbreak like this that could impact businesses, including insurance, as it has done. But the issue is that the scope and the end of it is not even known to anyone yet, including the Commission. But proactively, the Commission has come out to say that we are aware of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic and the possible impact on the recapitalization. At the appropriate time, we will look at it. And I think that that is very thoughtful of them. And so what I see, therefore, you will have equally, as you follow the news, originally the recapitalization was premised to end by June.
Yeah,
of
but
this
it was
year,
moved
but
to
extended
December.
by 6 months to,
to December. Yeah.
What I see, therefore, is that the timelines will be equally be extended, and I do not know the scope yet. Like they have said, the scope is not certain, and so there could be further palliatives or variations to it. But as to whether this recapitalization will be seen to the end, I think it should, because it's good for us.
Now, we've seen some private equities companies indicate interest in the likes of Royal Exchange, Law Union and Rock, and a couple of others. How is this virus outbreak redirecting such strategy?
Yeah, I think they came in recognizing that Nigeria is a huge market with so much of potential to be developed, explored. And I still think that notwithstanding the virus outbreak, we still have those potentials. And so designing investors, whether local or international, we still see the need to invest in our market. I think the fundamentals for our market, in terms of huge market, the fact that penetration is still very low relative to our GDP, means that there's huge market for anybody who wants to participate in the insurance business.
Now, on your own part, as the CEO of Consolidated Hallmark Insurance, you've had to extend the offer period of your right issues. That's from April 1 to May the 1st, 2020. So would you attribute this to the present pandemic?
Yes, certainly yes. We started off on the 24th of February and thinking that we will be done within the stipulated time allowed by SEC. But none of us figured out that COVID-19 would be an event we needed to contend with. And as you would expect, designing investors tend to wait till about the last week to put their money through. So we realized that we were caught by this outbreak, and rightly so, my board and our issuing houses deemed it fit to approach SEC for an extension, which they gladly did. And so we have our offer extended till May 1st at the moment.
Now, but I mean, we're not sure if the COVID-19, but you just had.
We're equally not sure. But
yeah.
I must say that the various regulatory arms in our country have been very responsive. They have all proactively taken measures to help. When we get there, I believe that they will be very attentive to any genuine case that needs a decision. You find out that they have woken up with various palliatives, extensions of regulatory returns, how they could be assessed and all of that. So I am positive. We only have to continue to push we cannot say endlessly our offer should be open. So, and we should not suspend it either. So we believe that we'll get to the end of it.
All right. Now, let's look at insurance penetration in Nigeria. Of course, you did indicate that Nigeria is a large market, but we still have issues with insurance penetration here in Nigeria. Why so?
It's almost like obvious, so to speak, but again, you need to really focus on it to understand it. We have a large population, but the population is not empowered. The larger part of the population is struggling to meet their basic needs. And until that is done, really, insurance cannot come into their consideration. You find today many are looking for housing, many are looking for food, many are looking for clothing. And it will be out of place, just as we are passing through this period, to go to such low-level brothers and sisters in our, to ask them to buy insurance, I think is something that will not work. That is one. But we have our own age-long issues that have made us not to patronize insurance as such. Education is there. Our religious beliefs are there. Cultural issues are all there. All of this combined, and our perception, general perception, even among the elites, is equally there. And that is why you'll find today, coronavirus has made us to stay indoors. And as we stay indoors, you find a lot of businesses that will suffer. Suffer because there will be theft here, and you go there, there's no insurance.
Now, but do you think that this, perhaps this situation,
yes,
the COVID-19 pandemic, perhaps would have opened a lot of people's eyes to say, okay, insurance could be important after all?
Yes, it has always been important. As you will recall, that is the only service that brings you peace of mind. You need peace of mind. You need to sleep with your two eyes closed. If you have insurance, indeed, you have bought peace. If you have insurance, you can sleep with your two eyes closed. But many people who don't, as we say, really, when we go out marketing, if you have the means to replace an asset you had previously acquired, if in the event of a loss, you don't need insurance. But more often than not, most of us don't have that liquidity to replace and reinstate our lost assets. So you need insurance, actually, to move on. It takes away the business risk. It takes away the personal risk. And it's lack of appreciation. Awareness sometimes, yes, but the fact that we just believe is nothing. And that is why we spend billions in acquiring an asset or setting up factories, and we find it difficult to pay the premium, which is just a minute fraction of the total outlay.
Now, how do you think the recapitalization of insurance, Nigerian insurance sector, how do you think that would help to actually improve insurance penetration in Nigeria?
Yeah, it will help because there is a limit to how far we can go by way of physical contact. And increased capitalization will help in building up our technological infrastructure. And particularly at this time, for instance, a lot of us in insurance business will appreciate the fact working from home can only be possible if you are truly technology savvy and you have prepared for it. But having prepared for it as an industry is one side of it, because the insuring public must also embrace it for the two parties to work. So we think that whilst the insurance industry is undergoing recapitalization, a lot of resources will be there for them to invest in technology, to invest in their people, to invest in the processes, and be able to respond appropriately and timely to claims that are made against them. Also, the insuring public must be prepared to embrace insurance services.
Now, just a quick one before I let you go. Are we likely to see more mergers and acquisition in the industry as a result of this?
I would say yes, and the regulator has said that much as well, that the recapitalization is not intended to kill any company. In fact, all companies will survive. Those who can make it on their own are permitted to do so, and those who think a business combination is the best thing, they should do so. But if should they fail, then it will be the initiator of the consolidation. So I think that is something that might happen. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Mr.
much for
Efekoha.
having me.
All right. I've been speaking to Mr. Edi Efekoha. He is the President, Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, and the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Consolidated Hallmark Insurance. When Business Money returns, we'll look at the commodities market space. Just stay with us.